What's up, everyone? I'm Konrad OldMoney, and I'm going to show you how I made the beat for Dinero, featured on Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, money!
Kind of a repeating narrative for me is that I like to sample my own work. So, I like to kind of reuse other ideas and take them and put them into new universes. So with this track, actually, I was making a different song and I was just kind of creating chords. And it was like a hip hop track and it had its own little life, but I wasn't really too stoked on it. I really think that every idea can be kind of flipped and used, and every bit of work can be used towards something. It just might not be the thing that you're trying to use it for right now. I came across that beat again and I resampled it actually into my sampler, and I chopped it up into a whole different pattern. You can see that here, and essentially what I came out with is this. It's got a pretty groove, right? This chop was impressive to me. I pitched it up a bunch. This is kind of a plucky sound, but it doesn't have these like sharp edges. It's like kind of round to the ear. So I thought it would be cool to have a plucky lead on top of it as a counter melody. So I played this thing. Right? Now, that's cool. It's got this it's a nice lead, right? It's kind of like whimsical, it's kind of funny, it's like a little bit mischievous in a way, almost, right? Now, together, now you see, what's happening here is the first lead that I played you, the choppy sound, is like, there's a lot of movement. So what the pluck is doing is highlighting the parts of the rhythm that I want your brain to really register. Nice and simple. Like, it's hard to get lost in that. If you can't keep up to that thing, I don't know, you need help. When you're making a track, you got to think about the vocalist. Now, you want to set up a melody and a rhythm, but you don't want the lead to detract from what the vocalist is doing. You want them to kind of springboard off of it, but you don't want to overpower their lead. You also want to give them room to write. So this is kind of my way of setting up a lead, but taking away from having a very distinct lead. Like, it's in there, but there's three things happening here. It becomes kind of like this like beautiful mess. It's almost like what a pad would do. You can then tuck it into the background, and an artist can be on top of it, and your brain is going to focus on the artist because they're going to be the most sensical thing on this. They become the lead because I have three things going on. Right? Now, the cool thing here is these two melodies together. It's called Grand Thrift Auto Harp. It's like a shitty harp that I f***ing love. And it's a great little contact plugin that I was using, and I just kind of, I'm a preset monkey. I just loaded up a couple presets, flipped them a little bit, changed a little bit of EQ, and that's kind of what came out of it. I really like using like a little bit detuned re-space to kind of glue things together, all right? So I actually threw a nice Reese on here to set up the main beat. So boom, 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 boom. Because I was hearing that in my head. I was like, oh, this would be nice, but I don't want like a stand-up bass, and I don't want like some big 808 bass because that's just like played out. I'm like, it would be cooler to just kind of set up that thing with this bass instead. And it sounds great. I like to throw in little sound effects and kind of like set up the scene. I'm like, oh, it'd be dope to like have this like, I don't know if it's like a bar or like a place, and there's like money counters going. It just sounded pretty dope. And that's, you saw what ft.Cerbeus ended up doing. He actually went ahead and jumped off of that. He was like, oh, money counter, Dinero, like that's dope. I only have, one 808 right before the drop. And if you're hearing that in big speakers, it gives you quite the effect. It gives you the effect that you would have in like EDM without it being any kind of EDM, because it's just like one slap in the face, and then that's that. And after that, I set back up and I have like a fatter bass. Like, so I took the Reese that I had, which was a nice lush Reese, right? And it's that low, like, boom, boom. And what you hear me do oftentimes is, things, I always think about how people are going to be consuming the music. So I'm like, well, people are going to, once again, listening on laptops, phone speakers, TVs. I need those bass frequencies to punch through. So I took like a distorted 808 bass, and I just repeated it. And it's like farty and crappy. And when you marry that with the Reese, it sounds fucking dope. You get like the lower end Reese bass gives you like the body. This other crappy, farty, overdriven one gives you the top end. It gives you the sheen. It helps drive the melody of the bass and helps your brain understand that there's bass when it might not hear it. I have 2 layers of drums. The first layer of drums is the hip hop drums, and they're pretty simple. All right, nice. Right, I got my little trap drums on there, little trap hats. I called this the drum sauce bus with the Latin side of things. This is the Latin side of things, right? I want you to hear the fact that there is this swing on it. Here is the final effect. And you hear all the hats in it. Like, there's a little bit of familiarity for people that maybe don't listen to Latin music, but they might listen to, hip hop and radio. My nose is running out here. What it does is it gives a little bit of familiarity to the listener. They're like, oh, I know trap drums. I've been listening to that on, 98.4 FM, Cocaine FM at 6 in the morning with whatever, like the guys in Hawaiian shirts. When you're thinking about marrying genres, you want to do so tastefully. I find that drums is a really good way to introduce little tiny hints of things. Here's how the chorus sets up. Right? It's a party, everyone. Come out, dears. Party. Bears? Oh my. No, those motherfuckers are sleeping. The bears are fucking sleeping. What if it's like there's like a hungry bear? Like the one that didn't hibernate? Because he's like a procrastinating bear? Imagine he just fucking came out and bit me in my face. Like, haha. That'd be a terrible fucking segment for you to... Well, actually, I would go viral. If I'm like doing my stupid little fucking thing. Little bear comes out of nowhere. Yeah, I'm in the middle of beautiful Canadian wilderness in Vancouver, BC, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. It's gorgeous out here. You want to highlight moments that... I like to highlight the 1s and the 3s with, like, either some kind of a synth pluck or a brass hit or something. And I thought brass will probably work well on this. Right? And then... Right? So... Doom... And all I'm doing is I'm just like setting up a little bit of a highlight to what the melody's doing. There is enough happening here for me to be like, all right, rapper, singer, MC, whatever, do your thing. Mucho, 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 mucho dinero, like it's wavy as f***. And he's bouncing off of that rhythm, right? Mucho, 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 mucho dinero. Like he's just ice skating on that shit. My personal challenge, because I'm a corny motherfucker, is to like put some corny shit somewhere in the beat and not have anybody notice. My corny sound here on this one is a secondary pluck that I put on the chorus. It's Diva. Let me just unfreeze this for you here. Unlike my fucking hot dog fingers. It's so cute. Look at how dope that marries in with the rest of the plucks. It's got a little bop, right? You hardly notice it, but when I take it out on the second half of the chorus, you'll feel like something's missing. I've done this. So what I like to do when I'm listening back to my beats is I can't. I hate using the word literally. I use this word a lot. Like, it's such a stupid word. The whole game of production is like, what can I get away with just throwing in the trash heap? So what I will do is I will actually take my main envelopes, my main mechanics of my track, and I'll group them. And then I take a MIDI controller and I make solo buttons on that MIDI controller that are mapped to my DAW. And then I'll sit there with my fucking eyes closed and I'll just turn shit on and off, and I will just listen as to whether or not I even notice it being gone. If I don't notice it being gone, that motherfucker's getting deleted. That guy's gone. people are like in studio sessions with me, they're like, what are you doing? Why would you? I'm like, because I hardly noticed it. Why would I fucking keep a thing? I'm like, no, it's not really adding anything. Like, I didn't miss it when it was gone. It's like an ex, you know, like a proper ex. You're like, I don't miss you when you're gone. Like, this is actually quite nice. How do you address a verse on a record like this? There's so much swing on this thing, and there's so many like cool moving mechanics, and let the vocalist shine by taking out all that rhythm for a second. We have several rhythm drivers. We have the lead, right? We have that little choppy lead, right? This guy right here, all right, doing his thing. I'm like, well, this is already giving me a rhythm. This is doing what drums normally do. This is setting up a bop, right? So like, that being said, I don't really need much more. Like, you want to be like creating sections of peaks and valleys, you know? Well, the valley here, the peak is right at the chorus, right? And then valley. Right? And then the drums come in. And it's so rewarding when they kick back in, right? And I'm basically just like taking away a bunch of stuff, and I'm slowly feeding you pieces to like have you, because I know you want more. You know, I'm not gonna give it all to you. I'm not that easy of a music date, you know? You gotta work for it a little bit. You gotta pay attention to my bullshit. Hi, Mount Seymour tour bus. You know, aside from that, there's really only one main change in this beat. You will laugh, but I feel like a champion for it. The MVP of music worldwide, the cowbell. So heavenly. I feel like if angels came down to earth, they'd be playing cowbells. Imagine being the cowbell person in a band. That's your job. I made the cowbell work. I made it work, you guys. I gave the cowbell a moment. Then everything just kind of repeats itself the same fucking way. For the second half, I bring in the drums a little bit earlier. I don't deconstruct for as long because I've already edged you on the first verse. I don't need to edge you on every fucking date, do I? All right, so that being said, it's just a little cut in. Boom, there you go, This is a very standard rhythm, It's nothing wild, but it works. It does what it needs to do, and that's okay. Not everything has to be like profound. There is great power in the ordinary, you guys. I'll edit out all of my sniffles. Yeah, I mean, this beat is relatively, good. I'm like, what kind of gems do I want to impart on these people? Well, this beat is relatively, good. No, but it is. It's good. All right. Dance party in the forest. Come on, guys, dance with me. Maybe I'll slip and fall. What do you think? Do I move? All right, let's dip in there and get a couple shots. I think what we'll do is we'll go to the car for a second to warm up, and then we'll wait for the clouds to break a little bit.